Hey everyone, Uncle Bart here for College Cuisine. Today we're doing Bubble and Squeak. It's the day after St. Patty's Day, March 17th, so this is being taped on the 18th. And for me, it has a certain thing about it. March 17th was also my grandfather's birthday. He was born in 1900 in Sicily. When I was a kid, I had the other kids convinced he was the only Sicilian born on St. Patty's Day. It was just a lot of fun I had with it at the time. But I'm thinking about this because, he would have been 121, would have been, there was the 121st anniversary of his birth. And when it was the 120th last year, I wrote a bit of a story that I didn't exactly, share in public too much. But I'd like to tell it to you a little bit about my grandfather. Well, about a year or so before he died, I don't think you know, I'm from New York. I still have my accent. And I had been up there to visit, and he said, Bart, that's my nickname. Can you take me around to do some stuff? I said, sure, Grandpa. So we got into the car. I took him to the bank to deposit his Social Security check because there was no direct deposit back then. And we did a few other errands, and he says, Bart, you want to go some lunch? You want to go for some lunch? I said, sure, Grandpa, where do you want to go? Now, he always thinking we go to a nice Italian restaurant, pizzeria. I don't know. He goes, White Castle. I said, what? White Castle. I said, okay, the home of the belly bomb. So we went to White Castle's, and I said, let's go. He goes, no, Buckley, you stay in the car. I'll go get it. We'll sit in here and have a nice talk. I said, okay, fine. And I'm going, uh-oh. So he goes in, gets the stuff. I had a couple of cheeseburgers and fries and a shake. He had 2 burgers and a cup of coffee. He was skinny as a rail. Hello. Anyway, so we sat down and ate, and we talked, about things grandsons talk to their grandfathers about. He wanted to know, was I happy? Was I seeing anybody? At the time I was, but I didn't tell him about it because on the first date, he'd rented the hall. And so he never really knew about it. So we finished. I brought him home. I kissed him bye-bye and went back to Delaware after a couple of days. And like I said, about a year later, he passed away. So recently they had, describe your great memory with White Castle. And so that's why I figured I'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Tell you a little bit about my grandfather and the last time I went to White Castle with him, his last meal with me. Anywho, on that, since yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, we make ham and cabbage down here, not corned beef. It's pretty much the same, except it's from a pig instead of a cow. Apparently, in Ireland, it was bacon and cabbage, not corned beef. Corned beef, apparently, was when it came to America, because there was more cows here than there was in Ireland. So we had that last night. It came out very good, but I have a whole bunch of leftover cabbage and potatoes. So I'm going to turn this into one of the national dishes of the British Isles, and I'm going to assume the Emerald Isle, Bubble and Squeak. Now, since this is already cooked, half the battle is won. You just roughly chop up the potatoes like this, because you're going to kind of like mash them back into the frying pan. Peel it all. I've made this before and it comes out really, really good. So, and since this was cooked in so much pig fat from the ham, you got to wear gloves, otherwise you're going to be slipping and sliding all over the place. So here we go with the potatoes. Let's get this back into the bowl here. Voila. And now we take out the cabbage. And again, just like the potatoes, rough cut. Now this cabbage is cooked really well. My friend Ted, he likes his cabbage cooked. He's very British. And they like everything cooked to death. And then some. There we go. Holy moly, that really did come through easy. Now, we're going to take the potatoes and crush them a little bit in your hand. So, can you see that? Yes, you can. This is so you can mash them down into the bottom of the frying pan a bit. And this is what's really going to get a chance to caramelize and toast. So you get that great fried potato, fried cabbage flavor. You know, in Italian, we have something similar with this. It's called, cabbage stufado, but we mix it with rice. Do the exact same thing, and garlic. The only difference I'm doing here, other than what I've seen on other restaurants, they usually do this in lard and or butter. And I'm doing it in olive oil and maybe a touch of butter. So let's turn on the frying pan here. And like with most frying pans, even with the non-stick ones, it's the old frugal gourmet axiom: hot wok, cold oil, food won't stick. So we're going to let this get real hot. In the meantime, we will get my stirring spoon over here and get this lot all together and mix up the cabbage and the potatoes. There we go. This can go back down here. This comes up here. Let's get these bad boys mixed together. I like to know how many people have such terrific memories of their grandparents. You know, I worked with my grandfather in the shoe store. Oh my gosh, we took it over in 1970, so I was 12 years old. Other kids, you know, I don't know what the hell they did. I went to work with my grandfather and my father in the shoe store. My father was a postal worker, so he had the proverbial 2 jobs. Now, hold on a second. Well, the few times we're going to measure in about a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. This is already cooked once, but you always want to give it a bit of a boost. And a lot of good grinds of pepper. There we go. Get that all mashed up together. There we go. That's getting pretty hot. But anyway, so my grandfather, he taught me how to fix shoes. We did inventory every week and every Wednesday because I had half days off. Remember I told you about the CCD? We went to Manhattan to buy shoes. And yet again, I could transfer something else to the memory of food. Back in the day, they had something called an automat. Watch the movie A Catering Affair with Debbie Reynolds, Ernest Borgnine, and Betty Davis. And they have a scene in an automat. That's what an automat is like. You put a quarter in the slot and you pulled out the food, like a sandwich or something. I always had a tuna sandwich, and my grandfather had a cup of coffee and a piece of cheesecake. He never finished his cheesecake because he gave the rest to me. All right, I just put in a quarter cup of olive oil into the pan. I wish I could show this to you, but if I put it, it's going to melt this and it'll cool down. So you're going to hear a sizzle. All right, here we go. Ready? That's a sizzle. And then you flatten it out. And now, don't touch it. Usually you see chefs going zoom, zoom, zoom. You want this to form a crust at the bottom of this, and that's going to take a few minutes. So this we no longer need into the kitchen sink. Voila. And this we don't need. At least not for now anyway. There we go. I have a terrible pitch in my kitchen, so I just have to get the oil to the other side of the frying pan. There we go. And this is on full blast. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, you can see a little bit. I'll use this one. This one has a slightly higher flame anyway. So anyway, yeah, we did that every Wednesday for years. Going to the shoe houses and buy, because in those days, not everything was delivered. Especially where we were on Chambers Street for that, the shoe warehouses were all along that one section of Chambers Street. Lower Manhattan was filled with shoe stores. It was incredible. That changed a lot. My gosh. I stopped working the shoe store when I was about 20, because I started going to college, and I still went back on weekends. I couldn't go into the city no more because I was in school, but I still went back on weekends and helped the old man out with the store. And don't get me wrong, I also knew how to fix shoes as well. So, I mean, it's a funny thing in life. I'm trained as a filmmaker, a shoemaker, and a cook. Well, we won't go into the filmmaking, but the shoemaking, I did do some decent stuff with that, and now I'm a cook. So you never know where life could lead you. Actually, since this whole video stuff started, I have quite a few online students now, so I guess eventually something's going to pay off. So, what do they say? Charge boldly forward, my Uncle Tina used to say. So he wrote in my book, charge boldly forward. Be persistent. That's it. That's it. Okay. Stop the presses. Stop the videotape. I really wanted to see if I could get this into another pan so you can see how it's really supposed to come out. There we go. Now it's a little bit loose. So as always forewarned when I flip these things, it may come down in a bit of a mess, but I want you to try and see. See, that's how it's supposed to be. And then, oh, at least it looks a lot better than what it did before. See? There we go. That's what a bubble and squeak is supposed to look like. And again, this is a little bit loose because these cabbages were way overcooked. And that's just the way it is. But that's how crispy it should be. Crack a couple of eggs over it. You'll love it. So take two, eat more, and enjoy. And again, I'll see you next time. Bye.
There's not enough light.